visiting some other other schools. I'll keep it short. I was just saying I joined Blackboard about 2.5 years ago. Originally, I joined as a solutions engineer, so more focused on sort of RFPs and technical demos. Joined this team, which is designed to work with end users. Really, I would say to a large extent, faculty adoption, making sure you guys are happy with stuff. Coming off of a 30-year career in education, different capacities. The last 11 years, I was at Illinois Institute of Technology, where I was Director of Teaching and Learning and Educational Technology. So some of it was back-end LMS administration, the educational technology part. The teaching and learning was working with faculty, classroom practice around technology, curriculum assessment, that kind of thing. And I've also taught with Ultra. So at my school, I led us through moving to the cloud, moving to base navigation, and then we were in the process of rolling Ultra out, and so I've lived it and been through it and supported faculty and used it. So I like to think that I bring a lot of sort of empathy and understanding to the challenges of any kind of change. So I'm glad to be with you here today.
Thank you, Brad. So I'm Mike Jester. I actually started with Blackboard almost a year ago in July of last year. My background was much more in instructional design. I was working with Walden University, kind of a large online provider, and the parent company at the time was Laureate. So I was working with a lot of their schools and sort of designing and developing and deploying content. And what I kind of took away from that, I think really applies to what we do here at Blackboard as client experience managers, is it doesn't matter how well designed, well, it does matter, but regardless of how well designed something is in terms of instructional design, in terms of the LMS, if the faculty or the students really don't know where to look or what to do with it, then things fall apart. You could be trained as a great driver and you step in the car and all of a sudden all the steering is on the right hand side and you're in England, then it's an awkward experience. And so part of our goal here today is to sort of share with you what base navigation is and how it operates and why it operates the way it does, so that it feels a little bit more comfortable while you're in it. And I guess what I'd like to do first is just a little participation from the folks in the meeting. If you could just share a question or two about base navigation, about doubts you may have about it, about what you're looking forward to, any question at all. And I guess I'd like to have a few questions before I start, just so we can kind of get settled in terms of what your expectations are from today. If you don't mind just typing a few things in there. And while that's going on, I'm going to share just a PowerPoint real quick here. Okay. It says my screen sharing failed to start. Please try again later. Let me try this one here.
Looks good.
Okay, now it looks good. Okay, I couldn't share the application. All right, so I have a question here. How is it different? I also have, I've not seen it all, so a general overview is good for me. Okay, great. So we'll be covering that general overview and kind of figuring out a few questions about how it's different from what we would say is original navigation, I guess is how we term it here. So welcome to our base navigation presentation, Blue Ridge Community and Technical College. I'm looking at a second screen, so if you see me looking over that way, or I'm not sure which screen my image is facing, that's where my attention is. So here we go. So when it comes to sort of our modernization efforts for the LMS, there's sort of 3 stages that we're taking schools through. And Brad kind of covered them earlier when he spoke of his experience at his previous position. And that is first getting our clients to SaaS, software as a service, or the cloud. And then the second stage is base navigation. And the third and ultimate stage currently is Ultra courses. So I guess the first thing in terms of the questions about how it's different or what the general overview is, what I really want to stress first in this session is that base navigation is a step towards ultra courses, or the ability to roll out ultra courses or develop an ultra courses, but it is not but ultra courses are not a requirement of base navigation. So clients get to transition to base navigation, and all the courses and everything that you do in your classes in terms of design, development, and deployment, it stays the same. So it's a nice intermediate step where you get to choose the speed at which you may or may not want to roll out the other ultra courses. So let's cover a little bit about what these three things are, just real quick. My mouse is failing me here. Okay, so again, SAS is the latest version. What the benefits of SAS are is that it's always up to date. There's no downtime for updates. It's that change has kind of been invisible to users in terms of faculty and students don't really see that you've moved to SAS. It's much more an admin side upgrade. With base navigation, the benefits are it's a new user experience. It's designed around communication and workflows. It optimizes activity even in both course experiences. So even though you don't need to transition to Ultra, when you're in your original courses, there are some improved design, flexibility, adaptability when it comes to different size screens, mobile devices, etc., while using original courses. It also surfaces some of the analytics within the course and some of the information within the course, kind of up to sort of see all information from all your courses at once. So, and we'll share that a little bit here. And then when we talk about Ultra courses, that's the new instructor and student course experience. And I won't dwell on that because what we're really here today to talk about is just base navigation. Okay. And it says, Amanda, you're going to be turning base navigation is the update we'll be turning on later this summer. Okay, so just to set the context. Right, so when base navigation is turned on, this is kind of what the user experience looks like. And when I say user experience, the metaphor I use is for base navigation. If you're in a school building, we're redesigning sort of the entryway, the foyer to the school building, and the hallways. But the classrooms itself don't really change. And so what we see here are three screenshots. On the top left, you have what the institution page would look like. This is sort of one of your entry pages. And this provides just general information that you can communicate out to students and or faculty. And depending on what the admin wants to do, you can tailor messages so that what shows up here gets customized. So if you enter as an instructor, you may see different information than if you enter as a student, or if you enter as a nursing student, or a computer science student, or a construction design student, or whatever. There may be specific messages just to that student that would show up on this page. And then you have what would the course page would be, and then the activity stream. Those are the three screens we're gonna look at quickly here. Okay, so again, this is the institution page. This is a mock-up, right? So this isn't Monument University. You guys are, Blue Ridge Technical and Community College. So the banner would be different. The modules showing here would be different, but here you just have a sample. You could have sort of topical information about a recent update that may need to be sent out to all users, such as a COVID-19 update. And then often many schools have sort of help desk information. So what do you need first? Will this change be in place when summer classes begin? Amanda, I don't know if you want to answer that question there. Okay, there we go. Right. So what you see is that you see information organized sort of on the left, stacked sort of top to bottom, instead of information sort of organized in a banner from left to right. And this is part of the sort of flexible mobile first design that's provided by base navigation. Okay, because screen size kind of goes, you go up to down, you don't scroll left to right. So okay, so this is what the course page view changes to. So it has all the courses information here. Brad will be demonstrating this with a bit more detail, but you may notice that right in the search your courses bar, you have two tiles there, and one is the grid view and one is the list view. So we're showing a grid view here instead of a list view. So they show up, the courses show up as tiles, but they have a nice a banner, a nice clean interface. This is where you can kind of click in to see all your courses. There's left and right navigation up at the top where you can kind of see your current courses. On the left, you can have it set up for the previous term or maybe future courses that somebody's enrolled in. And Brad will be demonstrating the functionality of this page in our demo. So here is the activity stream of the page, and you can kind of see on the left-hand bar, you'll see kind of how it's highlighted. And this is the menu that comes with base navigation. And so you see here, this pulls information. This is a student view, so it pulls all relevant information for a student in their activity stream. One thing is challenging about kind of how instructors and students may approach their courses differently is that students are in 5 courses at once, and those 5 or 6 courses or 2 or 3 courses sort of jockeying for position and priority in the student sort of day-to-day activity in terms of how they interact with their courses. And so this surfaces that topical information of all their courses at once, as opposed to having them jump into one class and sort of figure out what's coming up next and then jumping to the other and what's coming up next. So this really surfaces information from their courses, whether they're in original or in ultra, so the students can kind of see what's new and what's most recent and what's upcoming in sort of an easier interface. And when they click into these, so it says important, introduction to personal finance, something is past due. The student here, Pamela Dare, can click in there and it'll go right to that portion of the course, not just their course page where then they have to go into the assignment. It'll actually take them right to their assignment page. Right. And so this is what happens when they click into one of these areas. It'll take them right to their course. Now this, of course, Brad will show you, it doesn't show up as a pop out. This is just the the screenshot on the screen, but it also demonstrates that one, this is an original course, and original hasn't changed even though you've updated to base navigation. Okay. You'll notice here on that left-hand menu of the course page, you have calendar, messages, and grades. And this is that information that base navigation is pulling and then representing in this left-hand column of base navigation, so that all course information, all the relevant, most recent updated information can be accessed by the student in their base navigation page, kind of in the table of contents area in the foyer of their school building, so they can kind of see where they need to go and what they need to do first. So here you see how those are sort of represented on that left-hand column. And we're showing the student view here, but naturally the instructor view is the same. It just provides information instead of that a grade, that an assignment is passed to, that you have something to grade, right? That something is waiting for you to grade, et cetera, or that a message is coming to you. Okay. So we have here is this virtuous circle of positive feedback loop regardless of course experience. So you'll see, we have the original course in the top right. You'll see the what an ultra course would look like. But regardless of the course experience, all this information gets surfaced in base navigation, so that students and instructors, depending on the user, get to see the most relevant information first. So that really concludes the quick overview of base navigation. And right now, I'm sorry, I'm just seeing the chat. I'm not sure if there's any questions or issues that were raised in chat that you need Brad or myself to answer now. But if there is, maybe I'll hand it over to Brad, because I think he's been looking at chat a little bit more since I've been looking at my PowerPoint presentation. So let me stop sharing. I can find the menu here.
So I'll jump into the demo. And let me see if I can pull up just. let's see how this works here. Can everybody see my demo environment? Okay, excellent. So I'm logged into our demo environment. I'm logged in as an instructor into the course. So we're on the institution page. I don't remember if it was Sarah or Amanda in the chat said that the default landing page for your institution will be the institution page. It is the part of base navigation that's the most kind of like a website, right? So it is like your tabs and modules. You find content here. There are two kinds of modules. If you're a faculty member, you're not going to be building these out per se, but you're going to notice that there are these helpful links, and you can have more than 5 here. It'll give you overflow if you need it, and then these custom content. So there's a bunch of different kinds of content that can be presented. These are associated with system roles. So Mike explained that these can be customized. So you can have modules that are for everyone. You can have modules that are for faculty, modules that are for staff. If when you get to Ultra courses, you're running a pilot and you identify those participants, you could create a module there and push content out, okay? There's a lot less noise than you're probably used to from the old tabs and modules. As Mike said, it scrolls vertically, but it also expands out to the left. It's sort of an older kind of portal feel. As Mike said, one of the things about base navigation, it's also true of Ultra courses, and you're going to see some improvement in your original courses as well, is a mobile first approach about making this more accessible and more responsive. So one thing that you'll see here is if you shrink this window, it gives you the content. You can still get to the navigation easily. And so if you're on a phone or a tablet, the ability to log in and quickly get certain kinds of information is much better with the base navigation experience. And I'll also show you, it makes your original courses, when you turn this on, more responsive. So it's not quite as built for mobile the way that Ultra is, but you're going to see some improvement there. Okay, let's go to courses. Let's follow the structure that Mike was talking about. So the next, even though this isn't your default page, you'll obviously can get to it in the navigation. This is the list view that Mike was talking about. You can toggle between the list view or the tile view, that grid view. You have the ability as an instructor to go and change the course image. You can also use this as a banner in your course if you want to. If you don't set a custom image, the system will generate a landscape and it'll rotate through. So that won't be anchored. So visually it will look nice. But I generally encourage, and as an instructor, I like to putting something that will provide an anchor for your students and for you when you log in as a visual cue. You can pin favorites to the top. So while you're working in a term, if you're an instructional designer and you log in, there's certain things you want to work on. If you're a faculty member and you have a course that's still open because there's an incomplete and you don't want it at the top of your list, you can choose to favorite these in real time. It'll pin it to the top here. As you can see, this is also responsive, right? So the ability to go in and use your mobile device, whether it's you or a student, is really easy here. One of the main differences, and this is something that takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's worth knowing about, is Mike talked about navigating through. Instead of displaying all of the open courses that you have access to in a single module, the way that you may be used to it, base navigation will use the terms and the availability to clean up the screen a little bit, so the signal to noise is a little bit better. So current courses is going to be anything that's open, right? Anything that within the availability dates for you and students. I don't know if Blue Ridge sets courses up in advance for faculty to work in them, but before students have access. That would be in upcoming courses, and if you have a term set up, you can navigate through. Current courses is going to be everything that's open, but you can also look by term this way. You can use the drop down to choose a term. So there are a lot of ways of finding what it is that you're looking for, and then you can even use the search. And so let's say I just want my learning theory courses, and here are all of my learning theory courses, whether it's favorited, this is everything that's in current. But so you can use these in combination. You can also use them, let me clear the search here. You can also use this, it's a single interface. So let's say, I don't know if you use TAs at all. I don't know if you have any professional development that you push through. So you can say, I only want to see the courses that I'm teaching, or I only want to see the courses I'm not enrolled in with this user, but courses I'm taking. So you can also filter it down that way to manage what it is you're looking at here. Okay. Once you start using Ultra courses, they'll be differentiated by color. You don't choose it, the system will designate this. When you're using original courses, they'll all be gray. It's just one of the differences between the system. Let's go to the activity stream now. So the activity stream is, I think Mike did a beautiful job of sort of, describing the context of the system. The thing I always look to on the activity stream is if you ask faculty a question, the only question that you'll always get the same answer for is that, what's the most frustrating thing about teaching? And it's always students don't read the syllabus, right? You go over it, you spend the first day going over the syllabus. And so I like to think of the activity stream as a cross-section across all of the syllabi for the courses that you're taking or teaching. And it's sort of time-driven, if anything is late, that's at the top, right? Important stuff. And then what's coming up, what's going on today, if there is anything, and what recently was in the past. And so what's great is it's that cross-section, it surfaces it. And again, think about it this way. If you were a student, the ability to complain to you as an instructor that the syllabus was confusing, they missed something, they can log in on their phone and see exactly what's going on in all of their classes. They can see if there's an announcement. I'm an instructor, so I'm getting some notifications about student performance. I can see that there are due dates. So it makes it really easy to find information. And as Mike said, the ability to click on these and go in to take action is also here. So what's great about this is I'm in my activity stream. I see that I have this thing that's due. If I click on the item, it'll take me into the course. And here is the thing that was due, right? The thing that said sample. I can also click here and I can go directly to the class right from the base navigation. So I can do that from courses, but I can do it in context with the activity stream of, oh, there's something that I need to log into the discussion board because I'm supposed to contribute by noon, right? So it gives students a lot of information. It's also going to give you information about when work has been submitted that's ready to be graded. If there's activity that you're monitoring in your discussion board, that activity stream is going to be consistent across the UX, the way the screen works is going to be the same, but depending on role, what gets populated there is going to be a little bit different. Okay. The other thing I like showing here is, and Mike talked about this, this is an original course. I clicked it from base navigation. All of your content is going to be there when you turn base navigation on, all of your course tools, what you're familiar with. None of that changes when you turn base navigation on. So it's a great way of adding value with something that's sitting on top of your course. It's kind of mining your course for important information to bring up and that you can act on, but it doesn't require you have the same content and assessment creation menus. Everything is going to be the same. The one difference that you do get is from a look and feel perspective. And I apologize to anyone who may have done this in their course, but I like to call it the orange font on green background issue. which is people who want to customize their course in a way that they feel is more visually compelling, but that may have an impact on things like accessibility. And so when you turn base navigation and ultra courses were built mobile first, but also with a heavy eye toward accessibility. And so when you turn base navigation on, you are going to find that some of the customization around certain things like colors that may have an impact will disappear on you. So that is one thing to be aware of. All of the substantive pedagogy, teaching, the curriculum you've built, the assessments and activities you've built, all of those will work the same way. Also, third-party integrations. That is independent of turning base navigation on. Now, I did mention this. If you're familiar with original courses, you generally would probably not want to log in on your phone because of just the way that they're laid out. But when you turn base navigation on, you are going to see you get the same, here's your base navigation, but here's your course menu. You're still going to get some line breaks and that sort of thing. But all in all, it's going to be a better mobile experience than historically it has been. And so you are going to get some benefit from that as well. You'll also see things like column headers in the gradebook, if you go in mobile, are going to be a better experience on mobile as well. Okay. So with the activity stream, let me move all of our faces over. You can filter what you want to display here into grades and feedback, or if content has been added. If you're a student, you can also click that gear, and that's going to allow you to modify the notification settings here. So there's a lot of information here, and you may decide that you don't want everything. So you as a user, there'll be an institutional set of defaults that are here, but you as a user can say, I don't need, these three. I'm just doing this randomly, so don't, take anything from it. So you can turn these off, and it will adjust your activity stream accordingly, okay? You'll see here also, in terms of notifications, you have your activity stream, you have email notifications. There are fewer sort of granular items that you would get via an email notification. And you can also choose to get like a digest view, or you can get emailed if any of these things, pop up. This is for the app. So if you are using on a mobile device, either Apple or Android, push notifications for the app. There is a fourth kind of notification that if you choose to, you need to submit a ticket, the administrators submit a ticket. You can enable SMS notifications. So if you do want text notification by phone, that is a fourth kind of notification. It just requires that extra step. But you as a faculty member have the ability to customize how much and how you get these notifications, okay? And one of the things that I like about those 3 pages that Mike showed is the institution page is kind of customized by role. The courses page is personalized by what you're enrolled in. And then the activity stream is really granular in terms of what those enrollments are, but specific kinds of activity that are relevant to your role in the course, what you're doing, that kind of thing. Okay. How are we so far? Awesome. Okay. So let's go to your name here. So this is mostly going to be populated probably from your SIS. So there are going to be fields here that you see that look like you could edit them, but it's just because it's our environment right now. So you can get to your notification settings here as well. You can add a picture here. This is also where we're adding in some new things like pronouns and name pronunciation. So you do have the ability to, if you click on that, you can put a phonetic pronunciation as well as recording a name pronunciation. And so you're going to be able to access sort of the information, part of it which is system populated, as I said, from your SIS, and some of it you may want to do. And the great thing about it is your students will also have access to things like the picture, the pronunciation. And so it's going to be coming a little bit later. It's in Ultra courses now, but your ability to go to a roster where you can click an audio clip and hear pronunciation of students who may have names, they may come from an ethnic tradition you're not familiar with. The spelling may not be what you think it sounds like. And so it's really nice that individual users can add that content here and it'll push throughout the course. Okay. So we've talked about institution page and user and all of this. Organizations, I don't know how much Blue Ridge uses organizations. They function the same way as courses. So you can create original or ultra. This is for the admins and the backend folks. If, as you're starting to pilot ultra and think about it, you may want to use ultra for your organizations because it integrates here the same way. It's lower stakes than 4-credit courses sometimes, and it's a way of pulling your faculty in. They can use it, and they can even use it as a student, so they get that feel as well. So courses and organizations work exactly the same way. You're going to see the same interface here. Let me jump to Assist for 1 second here. So Assist is kind of like the institution page. It's authored by your administration. And your system administrators. They're links to resources. Historically, it's been designed really for student success kinds of things, but a lot of what's on your tabs and modules in your current original landing screen that you're not, that you're carrying over, the things that aren't generated by the courses, things like grades and the calendar and all of those, institution page and Assist are areas that you will commonly see authored content live. As faculty, you may not do much with Assist, but it's worth talking with the team that's rolling it out and how they want to use it. And there may be some things there that they choose to highlight that's worth you knowing about. And it may also be worth knowing if there are links to tutoring services or financial aid or any of those things that you know that where that lives in case it comes up with a student. Okay. Let me jump to tools just as one other thing, and then we'll get to the other parts of base navigation. So tools, if you're using certain tools which might have had a module itself, the content collection is one of them. I don't know if you use our portfolio tool at all, but tools is going to appear. Your access to those tools is going to be driven by permissions and roles. But again, you as faculty, depending on how Blue Ridge is configured, what third-party tools may be integrated at this level, it's a place that you can go to where you have this very streamlined navigation. And this is where some of those second-degree sort of tools that are linked to Blackboard Learn but aren't central to the course experience are going to be. Okay. So let me jump to something that Mike did show, the calendar messages and grades. What I love about this is you don't have to do anything that you haven't been doing as an instructor when you turn base navigation on to get value here. So this is defaulting to the day. Let me drag my faces over here again. Let me go to the month. So what you can see here is this is aggregating your course calendars across all of the courses that you have a relationship with. They are differentiated by colors. In this case, it doesn't matter if they're original courses or ultra courses. You're going to see all of this information, right? If I want to click on I'm trying to remember if I have one to that original course. This won't really matter, but let's say I want to look at this one. It'll take me to the day. And then just like the activities stream, I can click on the course or I can click on the item and it'll take me directly into the course. So again, if you're thinking about workflows and streamlining and reducing the number of clicks, if I'm a student or I'm an instructor, right? I'm on my phone, I can go to my calendar, see what's going on and click it and go right to the course. 3 clicks instead of logging in, finding your course, going to your course, finding the calendar or finding the item, right? It's a much more streamlined way of getting you to information and also then acting on that information. There is this due dates view that you can look at, which is just going to pull anything that has a due date, and it gives you just a nice roster, right, of those items. You can add additional items into here. You can add, if you have repeating office hours, you can add events that will push out as well. This look and feel, as you move toward Ultra courses, is kind of the Ultra course calendar interface. So you can still take advantage of original calendars. It's just not entirely, it's not as consistent as the other, but both of them show up here. And one of the things that I think is really beautiful about base navigation, and speaking as somebody who like worked with it, lived with it, rolled it out, is you can turn base navigation on with your original courses, get comfortable with it, get a feel for it. And as you're looking at that calendar for how you're choosing to test, experiment with, roll out Ultra courses, it's all in the same interface. And so if you said, we're going to do a pilot program, your faculty and students are still using base navigation. All of their due dates are still here. You're not working across systems. You just have both of those course experiences for you. Okay. You can also, and this is very similar to the current Learn that you're familiar with, you can choose which calendars you want to include, and then you can export that calendar and add it to your iCal, your Google Calendar or your Apple Calendar. You can also integrate a calendar in. They don't, this will push those calendar dates out to that shared calendar. I'm hesitant on adding a calendar in that it's going to update here as well. I don't want to overpromise in it. And it's something that you can follow up with Angelica in terms of if it's something you're interested in. But what is nice about it is it's pulling that stuff from the courses, and then it's making it portable if you're using some other productivity tool in terms of keeping track of things. Messages. So messages are very central to Ultra courses. They do exist in original courses. There's a lot of, within the client community sort of debate around faculty using it and sort of the value. This is one of those things that you're starting to look toward Ultra courses. There may be a discussion. I don't want to presume how you use the tool at Blue Ridge. One of the things that's nice about messages is they're all internal to the system. So in terms of record keeping, students saying, well, I wrote you an email, things that are external to the LMS are much harder to track down. It's one of the reasons it's been built more centrally into the other course experience. But what you will find is, here is an introduction to biology. It will open the course. It will take you to the course messages area, and you can take advantage of that directly again from here. So in terms of a communication tool, it's going to make it much easier. You can, so if you click the plus sign, it'll also take you directly in. So you can compose a message. So if you want to send something out to your class, you can do it directly from the base navigation, right? So you go in, you say, I need to send a message to my students. You can click on it, you can click the plus sign, it'll take you in, and you can write that message right from, again, your mobile device or your computer if you want. Another thing that we've added here, it doesn't show the number if you're on it, but so I clicked out, but there are 9 messages. So one of the things that we're building in is more refinement around the functionality. So you can see just how many messages there are. And one of the things that's coming is refinement around where those messages live. I'm an admin, and this is a demo environment, so I have way too many courses here. But so if you have 2 or 3 courses, it's not going to be the same challenge. But we're continuing to build and refine as we get more feedback from the end user community.
Brad,
Great. Yeah.
we have 2 questions in the chat that I wanted to steer directly toward you in case you had a more clear vision to express. Rebecca and William, do you want to go ahead and share your questions with the group?
Yes, this is Rebecca. When you mention messages, and I'm referring to the Blackboard that we use now, there's a difference between emailing the class and messages. And my question to Amanda was, in my Blackboard, I turn messages off and I always direct students to email. When you're describing this, are these, when you say messages, do you mean email, or are they distinctly different? And if so, can messages be turned off?
So I don't mean, I actually fielded this same question from another school via email this morning. So messages are messages.
Okay.
They aren't email. Your experience is not, what you're describing is not unique, right? Which is part of why I introduced it this way. Right now, base navigation is not a customizable menu. So it is not something that can be turned off. I'm gonna break my own rule here, and I'm gonna show you one thing in Ultra courses that may make you happier. And that is around messages. And that is, when you create a message in Ultra, you can also send an email with the message. So it's central to the system. It pushes it out so you can be sure that students are getting it, but it will bring them back here. It's not designed for transaction. It's designed to push it out. This is one of those changes where, as we rebuilt the course experience, we looked at ways that we wanted to kind of enhance things. We wanted to recognize that there were outside tools for communication, but as we look at ways of making sure that there's a repository of that communication, that you know, those sorts of things, that messages are sort of a central kind of tool, and we've enhanced it. But Rebecca, you were hitting on something that is not an uncommon issue, which is a lot of folks don't use messaging in original. They prefer using email. You know, there is that tool. And so that is something that as you're rolling this out and thinking about it, maybe a long-term solution. There's no, you know, original courses are here for now. There's no plan to get rid of them. And as people are using them, what sort of tools are available, and our product team is aware. And so it's just one of those things that I think it's one of those change management questions. The same way with courses, in terms of how the degree to which you use terms and navigating those terms, it is one of those places where the emphasis is a little bit different. And so it will take some accommodation.
Can I, and actually it looks like Brett has answered, but I'm just going to ask a follow-up, which is more of just making sure I understand. And thanks, Will, because Will kind of defined it well. So with the messages, I noticed that when you brought up that other screen, it allowed a click to disallow students' opportunity to reply to the message. So there it is, allow. And so in fact, in a message, one of the reasons I turn messaging off is because I don't want to go several different places to get communication. So by treating messages, since you can't turn it off, you could treat it just as a one-way announcement. I see Sarah nodding, so that sort of solves it. Okay.
Yeah, so the idea with messages is, now you can also do announcements, and I don't want to go down the road of Ultra, right? You know, but one of the things that is nice about this is it does show you we are approaching how we've rebuilt the course experience with this other course experience is different. And it's one reason why we split it out, and why, you know, I did at my school what you guys are doing, which is turning base navigation on, getting a lot of value out of it, leveraging it for original courses, and taking a much slower, kind of more methodical approach, because it's like working in a new system. You do have announcements in Ultra courses, but you do have the ability, if you want, with messages, to push things out or to use it for transaction in the system.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So grades. I kind of love grades for a couple of reasons. As a student, they can log in, they can see their courses, they can view their grades. But as an instructor, one of the things that you're going to see is, let's go to the, so here's my original course. I'm going to get information about assessments that are kind of recent, how many have been submitted, if things are missing, how many have been submitted to grade. I can also expand this, and it'll show me, in this case, I don't have that many columns. I think this one has more. It's an Ultra course, but it doesn't really matter. It'll show you all your columns. And so what's really nice about this is grade books are always challenging because, and we've done some nice stuff in the new course, but that grid view where you have all of the students on the y-axis and all of your assessments and activities on the x-axis, right, are this long sort of thing. It'll break out just that list. It'll show you, and then if you click it, it'll take you directly into your grade center, and you can jump in and do the work there. So what's nice is, again, the ability, if you want, as an instructor, to log in on your mobile device and just see, is there work for me to go in and grade without those notifications? It's a nice way to get a quick look. It's also a nice way to for your students to stay on top of it. So that's really base navigation. I know we're going to talk a little bit later, and it may be a little bit more Q&A because we sort of covered, I think, the deep dive on some of these pieces. When we're talking later, you know, I'm happy to have a conversation. This is a live environment. I used to teach with Original as well, so I'm familiar with the course experience. So we can spend a little bit time in the next session following up on those highlights, and if you have additional questions.
I had a question.
Sure.
So if you want to send the same message to all your live classes, is that allowed now, where you can just make a message and have it send to all of them at once? Or do you have to still go into each one individually to send the same message?
Currently, it is at the course level. There isn't like a system level message, system level announcement for your enrollments. I will say this, and again, this gets to original courses are kind of a mature course experience, and so there's not a huge amount of development. Our product team in general has gotten much more transparent and is trying to reach out to the community more. So this is one of those things that there are more opportunities in general, but I can also bring that to the product team and find out. And Mike and I can also bring that to Angelica to find out if that's on the roadmap. Like, is that the plan at all, right? So I think what you're getting at is, you know, if the system is going to sort of, for lack of a better word, coerce you into using this course functionality that you may not have used before, there may be some added value that wasn't built into the system that would be really, really nice to have, which would be, you know, the sort of one-to-many based on your course associations. And it's definitely something we can get into the pipeline to them. As I said, I think Angelica will be the better point of contact. Angelica, by the way, is somebody who is on Mike and my team and who often works. She's the primary point of contact for your school. She may, you know, she may be the best point of contact to bring back to you guys, whether or not that's on the roadmap. But we'll float that. I think it's a nice enhancement. So.
Great. All right. That just gave us and everyone here a really good look at ultra-base navigation as a whole. And I'll just tell our faculty and folks that are joining, this will not be all that you will get. So I know there are many questions that, you know, as you've seen this now, you're probably thinking of these great questions. If you have things that come up between now and whenever, then, you know, later, right before summer, we're going to be pushing out in May a lot of information to faculty on this before we actually turn it on. We're going to get you guys prepped, but this was kind of a first look at it. The e-learning team has been working for a couple months now, more than a couple months, to kind of get this ready, set this ultra-base navigation system up before we turn it on for you and the students. So we're working in the background really heavily right now. This is our #1 focus. So we wanted to give you a look at this, kind of a sneak peek. We'll be sending out plenty of resources, you know, written information, visual information, video for you. And as always, we're here to help you with any questions. So if you have questions in the meantime, I encourage you to send them to eLearning, to our email, and we'll kind of work through them with you. We're getting acquainted right now to get you guys set up. That way we can best serve you when we make this switch. But thank you, Brad and Mike, for that great introduction to this system. I think it's good. It's got their wheels spinning a little bit on the changes. I know from our perspective in e-learning, we're super excited about this because it is a huge upgrade from the, you know, original experience, and just kind of making things function a little bit better. So we'll keep an eye on these chat questions. But I really thank you guys. If you have questions, well, we can answer them in e-learning or send them along to someone at Blackboard. We work heavily with them all the time to get these things answered or, you know, send suggestions that we're grateful for. What we're going to do now is look at our giveaway winner. But Brad and Mike, thank you. If you want to hang out for a little bit, you're welcome. This link is going to stay open all day for all of our sessions. So that goes for anyone. Let me share screen here and see who our lucky winner is. All right, we're going to do this live. Everybody see that? All right, let's see. Paige Moore. I see Paige is with us. You can pick up your prize in e-learning.